Check, check. Hello, check. Hello, check. Ashwin, how is it?
हेलो हेलो
तुम्ही कनेक्ट आहे
हो
मोबाईल
कनेक्टेड आहे
त्याला कनेक्ट केलं का हेडफोन आवाज येतो
हो येते ना.
बरोबर आहे.
माझे स्वतःच वेगळे हो 4 माहिती ते 2 आणि
And you keep
ते
it
2 एक.
both of huh?
नाही ठीक आहे चेक केले ना
हो. हो हो
त्याच्यानंतर पाचव्या मॅडमची पीपीटी Hello. Hello.
थोड़ा था लेकिन चेंज अभी पहले अवार्ड फंक्शन होगा और फिर वो नॉर्मल इधर इधर फोटो नहीं इस साइड पर फोटो नहीं चल वीडियो बना के रखो तो प्लीज इधर का First brief about the competition and then Lakshya sir will coordinate.
Yes.
अभी हम लोग
Good afternoon to all the dignitaries, our beloved professors, participants, and our fellow students present here. We, on behalf of IIM Nagpur, welcome you all to the day 3 of PRITAM Singh Memorial Day Conference. We would now like to invite Mr. R. Anand onto the dais to give us a word about the competitions.
Yeah, very good morning, mid afternoon, friends. As part of the PRITAM Singh Foundation, one of our missions is to build academic and industry leaders, right? So that's the twin purpose with which the foundation has been formed in the memory of Professor PRITAM Singh, because he was very easily straddling between these two, both the academia and the industry. So one of the things that we did in the foundation is created some sort of competition that is able to recognize, talent from across the country. So one competition is the business school competition. So I'll talk first about the business school competition, where no, not this one. Yeah. So one of them is the business school competition, where we had several business schools, actually about 244 teams, and each team had a member of 2 people, participate in a case study presentation competition. The case study was given by the foundation. And after the first round of selection, a few were selected to the finals. And in the finals, the team again presented their analysis of a case study, again written by the foundation. And based on that, winners have been chosen. So there is a second runner-up, first runner-up, and the winner of the case study competition. So 3 teams have been chosen from 244 teams that participated across the country. So there has been an extraordinary sort of interest that the competition generated. So, the later part of the presentation, I would request my colleague, Mr. K.S. Bakshi, to actually make the announcements of who those winners are the first runner-ups and the second runner-ups. The second competition that we did was what is called as the Emerging Leaders Competition. In the Emerging Leaders Competition, the idea was to find out the most significant value creation that has happened in organizations. So if you look at organizations are constantly battling with change, and there are problems and opportunities that this change throws up to them. And organizations do take initiatives, create programs or cross-functional teams to solve those problems and take advantage of the opportunities. And we spotted such value creation initiatives that happen in the organization. And we also wanted to recognize young leaders, people who are less than 40, who drove those initiatives in the organization. So they are not really at the top level, but these are people who are emerging to be leaders. And again, we had extraordinary amount of interest in this competition, and so much so that we struggled as jury to be able to select the top 3. So the first round of selection in this happened through functional people. So each case study had belonged to either a supply chain function, strategy function, marketing function, and so on. So that is the first round of selection happened through the functional folks. And after that, a set of 15 teams were invited for the finals. And myself and KS Bakshi had the privilege of listening to all these 15 teams. We had personally a lot of learnings. And I'll just give some examples of the kind of scale of change that has happened, just to give an example. And these are not even the winners, because we are going to ask the winners to talk about their winning entries, right? So we had a very young team, for example, from Engineers India, right? And that was given the task of ensuring that 15 PSUs in a matter of 9 months become more energy efficient in the way they use their energy. And this team went about auditing 15 PSUs all at the same time. They had shortage of talent and know-how, and they were able to figure out a way and submitted a report, this first in EIL's history. And these are work that companies like McKinsey do. And there were young leaders behind this who made this happen. And they had subsequently filed 3 patents on whatever they did. So, and these patents, one of these 3 patents are already granted. So that is the kind of entries and scale of change that came. So that's one example. For example, another in Schneider Electric, where the team at L&D tried to figure out how to reinvent the way people learn new skills and institutionalize that practice into communities, and thereby giving this company a great competitive advantage. So we had another company from another team from Interglobe. So if you look at in the hospitality industry after COVID, the scale of sort of challenge that they went through is enormous. And this is a cross-functional team, a very young team from the next generation leaders of this company, who came together and created 25 ideas and divided that into tracks, and were able to drive a lasting cultural change. And these tracks and ideas consisted of, for example, creating adjacent sources of revenue, dark kitchens, right, when you are locked down, for example, or lending your space to, let us say, events that you do not do, and trying to make sure that you use different kind of material to do your ongoing projects, right? Really saving on costs, increasing automation. And these were done, including they recommended that the top management should not use so much space. And they created a hot seat arrangement for the top management and said, you now also have to fall in line and contribute to this change and transformation in the company. So that's another example. I can talk of many examples like this. So another example from, for example, Lalitpur, the plant process automation, where instead of trying to buy expensive equipment, this team tried to figure out what are the parameters that need to be adjusted to make sure that the plant performance parameters are within range. And they created a very live kind of dashboard and system. It involved modeling, how the plant will operate using the laws of thermodynamics, statistics. They created a regression model and made sure that the plant process is automated to a higher extent. And they taught all the people who are operating the plants, and thereby saving a lot of real costs for the company, and worth crores of rupees. So another from Ashok Leyland, where they tripled the amount of live parts that the company's spare parts division was able to sell because of the scale of automation. They took advantage of COVID and created enormous automation in the company. So extremely, promising kind of ideas and transformations that were done by these companies. And each of them were, or for example, Hyundai in Chennai, where if you look at, everybody talks about the semiconductor chip shortage, which is making sure that even though customers want to buy cars, there's a waiting time for cars. So they looked at all those that are critical for the company to be ready in, and tried to figure out, through a quality engineering and process and review system, which are the 5-6 processes that become most critical and where higher oversight and higher kind of alternatives have to be figured out. And through what they called as a very proprietary super model of looking at processes and reviews, made sure that their company became competitive and the delay in the supply of cars because the essential components that come along with it are not missing. So that's another example. And I'm saying these are not even the winners that we chose. And such is the scale of entries that came through. And we were seriously wondering like how to really award the winners. So, and we have 3 teams, and quite fortunately for us, we have all the 3 teams present here, and they will be receiving their awards. And I would request maybe KS, if you can please come on stage and announce the winners. And just as he announces the second runner-up, the first runner-up, and the winner, I'm going to request these teams to come over on stage and in about 5 minutes explain the idea behind what they have done. Right.
Thanks, Anand. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. So Anand has already set the ball rolling, and now we have come to the most exciting part of today's final day in terms of announcing the winners for the 2 category of competition that was organized as part of the PRISM conference 2022. I'm going to first announce the B School student case study competition, which Anand mentioned in the beginning. There were 224 entries that were received. Phenomenal response from the B School. I believe all the winners are joined us through the virtual mode. They are not here. So, but I would urge you to please clap for them, right, as soon as I announce the award, so that they can also listen when they have joined us through the Zoom link. The first announcement is for the second runner-up for the B School Students Competition. This is the team from IIM Sambalpur, team of Arnab Saha and Karthikeya Singh. Ladies and gentlemen, let's clap for them. The first runner-up in this category is the team from GIMS, Rohini, Delhi, and the members are Dhruv Gupta and Karthik Garg. And finally, the winners for the B School Students Case Study Award 2022 is a team from Great Lakes Institute of Management, Gurgaon, Anushka Yadav and Palak Jaiswal. Congratulations to the winning team, and I'm sure this will motivate others, other B School to participate more and more in the next year 2023 conference. Now I come to the announcing the award winners for the Emerging Leader Competition, right, as Anand has described in detail, and fortunately all the 3 teams are here. That's really nice of them, and thanks to their sponsors, their companies, they allowed them to travel to Nagpur and be with us. The second runner-up in the Emerging Leader Competition 2022 is a team. First, let me announce the project. What was the title of the project? The title of the project was Pontoon-Based Dredging Deck for Ashwater Recovery Land, right? And the team will be here and they will briefly share in 5 minutes what was this project. And this team is from Lalitpur Power Generation Company. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Sohan Pal and Nikut Singhal, the two team members, Sohan Pal and Nikut Singhal. Can we have you onto the dais, please? And may I request Dr. Bhandarkar to please do the honors. And we have Alok, the project sponsor here, who will receive the award on behalf of Nikunj. Nikunj could not be here. Yeah, please, yeah. So great work, Sohan, Nikunj and Alok. Sohan is the team leader for the project. Yes. And there's a trophy for the company. Yeah. Okay, may I request? All right. Some clicks are still to remain. Alok, may I request you to please briefly provide us the insight. Of course, Anand and me, we are aware, but for the benefit of the audience, you have 5 minutes. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's a privilege for me to be here. Very first, I want to thank Dr. PRITAM Singh Foundation for giving this opportunity. Actually, our project was based on this. Actually, we had an issue of, we have a ash recovery pond in which in due course of operation, ash gets collected in the pond, and cleaning of that pond is a big challenge for team. And for this cleaning, actually, we have to stop the stations. At plant, we have a 3 into 660 megawatt. And once we stop the plant, then we have to dry out the pond for cleaning. And this was a major challenge for us to cater. So actually, stopping the plant is not feasible because we have to serve the country for power. So management decided and given a task to team, go for online cleaning of system rather than stopping the units. So there is a lot of other companies are there which can do this job. And we invited some companies to go for cleaning of this. Companies quoted almost 30 to 40 lakhs for one-time cleaning. And cleaning has to be done almost every year. So team decided instead of going for this outside, why not to invent this in-house? So initially we thought how to go for this. So we just gone through what are the feasible processes for this. We had 2-3 more options. Then finally we thought why not to make a floating deck, and that deck should be floating inside the pond for dredging the ash what is getting accumulated at the bottom side. So finally we took a call to make this pontoon based dredging system, and to make this pontoon of size 3 meter by 4 meter, we collected the PVC drums, scrap drums, and with that drums we made a pontoon of 3 by 4 size. And that pontoon, we also made a lifting arrangement of pump with a dredging pump and agitator, so that it can be clean by floating around the pond. This was totally done in-house. We had not purchased a single part of this from outside, and we had successfully commissioned this. This was the major outcome after Actually, sir, thus after commissioning this, the major benefit for the company was that we can run the station all around the year. There is no requirement of stoppage for cleaning the pond. And the major, apart from this, the major savings were almost every time we have to pay 30 to 35 to 40 lakhs to the outside company. This was the major saving. This only not only made our team to get motivated for doing such works. This was the total brief of this project. Thank you.
Thank you, Alok. Maybe the 5 minutes time is not sufficient to do justice to the project that the team did, and both Anand and I, we had the privilege of spending more than 30 minutes with them understanding it, right? But congratulations to the team, Lalitpur. All right, time has come for me to announce the first runners-up for the Emerging Leaders Competition 2022. And ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming team from Ashok Leyland. Please continue to clap. Dinu Deves, Zafar, and Mr. Nagamanikam. Team from Ashok Leyland. They did a phenomenal work in terms of finding innovative solutions for engine assembling lines. And of course, team will talk more about it. Congratulations, team Ashok Leyland. Can I request Dinu to please come to the podium and briefly talk about this project? Dinu, please.
Respected dignitaries, ladies and gentlemen, thanks to PRITAM Singh Foundation for giving us this wonderful opportunity to take part in this seminar and competition. I'm Dinu Davis, along with my team from Ashok Leyland. We are a leading manufacturer of commercial vehicles, and also we cater gensets, marine application and defense applications. Our team is basically manufacturing, engineering, which taking care of facilities and process planning. With the, as you may know, with the recent implementation of BS6 emission norms, there is a multi-fold increase in our aggregates, multi-fold increase of electrical systems in our aggregates, mainly on engines, cabin, chassis. Due to this increase, we anticipated and done failure mode effective analysis and found potential increase in defects. These defects can lead to failure of meeting emission norms. Our product design is very unique, which is a USP for our organization. But at the same time, it has given a challenge as a manufacturing engineering team. Even though, let's say the child parts, what we are receiving from outside, meeting all the quality levels and specification. During assembly fitment process, there were opportunity of errors of loose connections, connectivity, etc. Though we looked for benchmarking process, due to uniqueness of our product, direct solution was not available. Since there is no single solution provider for this kind of problem, as a team, we conceptualized the entire solution and integrated various sub systems to build a complex solution. This led to the development of an innovative, indigenously developed, first time in Ashok Leyland and maybe probably in India. We called as ECOS, Electrical Checkout System. This system has a capability of confirming complete electrical functioning of a vehicle. It's like a system simulates the actual vehicle condition on road right at the assembly stage. This has helped us for zero defect reaching to the customer. I'm happy to announce that we have applied for patented rights for this unique solution. With all this combined effort, we are proudly say that we have successfully overcome the challenge. This also supported us for our company vision to attain delivering unique and differentiated product to our customers. Also way forward for upcoming sophisticated electrical and digitally controlled vehicles, meeting our mantra of Aapki Jeet, Hamari Jeet. Thank you. Jai Hind.
Thank you, Dini. So finally, the time has come to announce the winner for Emerging Leader Competition 2022. Ladies and gentlemen, request to all of you, please put your hand together, make a lot of noise, and I call on stage Team Larsen and Tobo. We have Nawaz Sharif, we have Mr. Sarvanan and Vignesh from L&T. Congratulations, Team L&T. All three of them together. Nawaz, may I please request you to talk about us for this project? Thank you.
Good afternoon. We from Team Larsen and Toubro bring to you our journey of disruptive innovation which we did for Windows. Our client Sidco is developing about 80,000 economically weaker section houses in Navi Mumbai. And we are constructing about 23,000 houses out of them. And as you know, in Windows, you have this standard offering what we actually have in our budget homes. This is called as 18 series Windows. And when we actually analyze this particular window, we found that the central member, what you can see here, which is actually in the red highlighted box, it actually failed in wind analysis. So our case study actually has like 5 distinct stages. First one is like the problem discovery. Second is the solution phase, which we call it imagineering. Third is about making a prototype. Fourth is about scaling up the solution. And finally, fifth one is like looking at future applications. When we actually discovered this problem, we did a root cause analysis, the fishbone diagram, and tried to understand what actually causes the failure of this particular interlock section. And we could identify about 3 distinct levers. And as you know, like levers control any kind of solution. So this discovery was important. The second stage, what we call is imagineering. Imagineering is after our L&T's motto, which is basically imagine plus engineering. So in this particular phase, we looked at our problem, which was actually unique. There was no precedence in the industry, absolutely no case studies how to go about. So we put together a very a cross-functional kind of team, all the departments within our project, various functionalities, so that we can bring together all the various kinds of solutions. And also we adopted a contemporary project management approach rather than using a traditional approach, which would have entailed extra claims or extra cost reimbursement from client. We actually went for a contemporary solution wherein we tried to take along all the stakeholders. We go to the next one. So when we actually looked at various solutions, we could come out with this particular profile, which we call it eco slide. As you can see here, it's a combination of two different kind of profiles. And this eco slide, what you have here, it actually qualifies a wind speed of about 120 to 150 kilometers per hour. It can actually sustain that. So this was the innovative profile what we actually developed together as a team. But then this solution was only on the drawing board. Now it was time to test it out. So we actually fabricated a sample window, went to this specialized lab in Mumbai and got it tested. And good for us, this window performed exceptionally well, and it performed all the parameters like air, wind, and water and structural criteria as well. Now, I mean, of course, we could get one window done, but my project needs about 160,000 windows. Now, this problem of scaling up comes. How do we scale up? So for scaling up, like there are two distinct parameters which we should look at. One is the supply part of it. Other is like, of course, you need to have a team of fabricators. So we actually approached Jindal, who is one of the biggest aluminum extruders in the industry here. And good for us, they actually accepted this profile and made this part of standard offering. So next time you go to the market, you can actually buy this eco slide as well. So it's not patented anything as such. Like anyone can just you can actually go for it. Next, we also brought on board all the fabricators who could actually fabricate these windows. These are like small scale and medium scale kind of industries, and we could also have their support as well. Now, once we have this kind of solution, which was like very project specific, next we looked at how actually can you apply this solution across various industries. You can actually scale up this solution to, like, say, hospitals, say factories, your office buildings which are non-air conditioned. So I mean that is the extendability part of this particular solution. And luckily, if you take about one economically weaker section flat, about 300 square feet of 1 BHK flat, this solution costs about $2,500. That's about 5 rupees per square feet. So I mean, the main criteria was economical. And I would like to say that any innovation comes out of dissatisfaction or pain. And good for us, our client said, I don't have budget to pay you for any additional solution. So we had to do this. And also in hindsight, we have this flawless, beautiful, perfect kind of narratives, but then realities are different. You actually have so many roadblocks, you have setbacks, you have failures, you have heartbreaks. But then the one thing what is important is like perseverance. That was what like my team was doing it. And in spite of rough, heartbreaking, like we had like resultless days, we kept showing up. And when we began, we actually didn't know what we were looking for, what kind of solution we were looking for. But today we are here, and that's my time. Thank you for being a wonderful audience. Thank you, Anand sir and Bakshi sir. Thank you, PRISM Foundation. Thank you, IIM Nagpur. It's a beautiful campus. Thank you for having us here. Good day.
Now we would like to invite Professor Papi Reddy sir to provide the Best Research Paper Award.
Good afternoon, everybody. So first section is International Best Papers. The winner is Bhavish Jugarnath, Navima Juri, and Roshid Bisesa from University of Mauritius. The title of the paper is FinTech in COVID-19 Epoch, the adoption of future contactless payment technology for a cashless society. I would request Dr. Asha Bhandarkar to hand over the certificates. Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, maybe you stay here because there are three more coming up. On the Indian category, the first prize goes to Payal Mehra, Pradeep Kumar, and Ankit Ahuja and Nandita Roy. The first three authors are from Indian Institute of Management, Lucknow, and Professor Nandita Roy, I think, is from Kolkata. The title of the paper is When Business Leaders Apologize on Social Media, Evaluating Role of Image Restoration Theory and Rhetorical Persuasion in Crisis Communication. Do we have the authors here? Any of the author? Okay, we'll send the digital certificates. Thank you so much. The second prize goes to Siddharth Maji and Anindya Patnaik. And the title of the paper is Information Technology and Managerial Improvisation Capability, a Neuro IS Perspective. Okay. The third prize goes to Gopika CG and Biju AV, University of Kerala. The title of the paper is Digital Transformation of India through UPI, Examining the Growth Trajectory of Unified Payment Interface Model. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Before we begin, we would like to invite our dignitaries to stage, starting with Shri Harish Bhatt, Dr. Asha Bandarkar, yes, Mr. K.S. Bakshi, Mr. R. Anand, Professor Alok Kumar Singh, Professor Shiva Kakkar, Professor Papi Reddy, sir. We welcome you all, sir.
I think I'll have to follow for technical reasons.
We would now like to invite Dr. Asha Bhandarkar to felicitate Shri Harish Bhatt. Next, we invite Professor Alok Kumar Singh to felicitate Dr. Asha Bhandarkar. Now we call upon Professor Shivakakar to felicitate Mr. K.S. Bakshi. And finally, we call upon Professor Papi Reddy sir to felicitate Mr. R. Anand.
Now we have Dr. Asha Bandarkar. Dr. Bandarkar is a distinguished professor of organizational behavior at IIMN Delhi. Dr. Bandarkar is a psychologist by training, a management professor, a coach, and counselor by passion, and a strong voice for diversity at the workplace. She is well known in the field of leadership and HR as a scholar, consultant, and researcher. Prior to her current assignment at IIMN Delhi, she was a Raman Munjal Chair Professor of Leadership Studies as well as Dean Research and Consulting at MDI Gurgaon. She has been independent director on the board of Punjab National Bank 2018 to 21 and is currently director on the board of IMT Ghaziabad. She has worked on many board-level HR committees of banks, some of them being Bank of Baroda, Corporation Bank, Oriental Bank of Commerce, Punjab National Bank, Dina Bank. She has worked closely with the corporate sector for decades, conducting board levels and top management workshops for numerous organizations. She has received several accolades and awards for her work, including the Senior Fulbright Fellowship for Research, Leadership Thinker Award, Best Teacher Award, Women of Excellence Award, etc. Dr. Bandarkar has published 9 books and 45 research papers and cases in peer-reviewed national and international journals and edited books. Many of her publications have been co-authored with Padma Shri Dr. PRITAM Singh. And from personal experience, we can tell you that Dr. Asha Bandarkar injects an amazing energy into the roundtable discussions that took place on day 2 of the PRISM conference. Without any further ado, we would like to invite Dr. Asha Bandarkar onto the dais.
Good afternoon. First of all, it's a privilege to be on the dais with Mr. Harish Bhatt. And the reason for that is he represents Tata Sons, one of the companies which everybody in India who knows about companies admires. And an iconic group, not a company, a group, an iconic group. And a group which till today instills in us a kind of faith and trust in basic values of humanity. So that's why I'm a big admirer, sir, of the Tata Group, of the founder of Tata Group, Jamsetji Tata. I will refer to it in a bit, but today we are gathered here today to remember and celebrate the life of Dr. PRITAM Singh. Today happens to be his birthday, and we every year have this 3-day conference around this time, just to remember and to perpetuate the great things that he has done as an academic leader. So he himself was an inspired soul, a self-inspired soul, inspired by greats like Mahatma Gandhi and by Vivekananda. And I guess somewhere that therefore influenced his thinking and impacted the kind of things he did as a leader in this country. Now, you have heard about the PRISM or Dr. PRITAM Singh Foundation on day 1. And you have had a glimpse of some of the activities, like, for example, this conference, the Emerging Leaders Competition, the student competition. So, yes, what we are trying to do in this entire thing is to provide a voice for the youth, a voice for emerging leaders to get a space to speak about the work that they do. Because Dr. Singh believed in one thing, and which we try to follow and propagate. He believed that great things have to be celebrated. And this is one of the things which we have tried to do. Since he was in the academic field, his vision was that great innovations, great learning has not only to be celebrated, but also to be documented, which is why there is an effort and there is a move to convert these cases, which you have presented, the ELC cases, into some kind of teaching cases, which at some point in the future will be available for management education and institutes in this country. Regarding the student competition, I want to request all of you that when you go back and every year there's going to be this competition, please get more and more people to join this competition and become part of this movement. Now, you may wonder what brought us all together, because it's people from industry and academia. I look at Anand. He is, senior or principal advisor with HCL. I look at K.S. Bakshi. K.S. Bakshi is director HR for Interglobe Aviation. You all know Indigo, but you don't know Interglobe Aviation. It's part of Interglobe, okay? And we have Mr. Dwarkanath, who has been who is our president. He's the, former chairman of GSK. We have luminaries. Professor Maitri himself has been, he's a part of the PRISM Foundation, the director of IIMN Nagpur, which is how, the conference is being held here over the last 3 days. And you wonder, and there are many others, Dr. Subrat Kumar sitting in front of me. You can see that generation-wise, the range is pretty vast. From a chairman who is a president of the foundation who is 75 to, you're what, 30 something, Subrat? Oh, is that 40? Okay. So the range of people that Dr. Singh inspired is wide. So age, no barrier, okay? So what brought us all together, and this is where I want to talk about the soul of the, PRISM Foundation. The soul is just 3 things, which we learned from Dr. Singh. Because I don't think, see, when leaders are alive, there are so many people who will appreciate, so many people who will flatter, so many people who will sing songs of the goodness of the leader. The true test is when somebody passes away, right? Why is it that we are bothered? Because a deep impact has been created on all of us. We have not been the same after being touched by the lessons and the, blessings of Dr. PRITAM Singh. So what he taught us, I'll just briefly convey in 2-3 key points, and that has inspired the PRISM Foundation and its vision. One is that as the world is getting more and more narcissistic, hedonistic, there is even more need for good leaders, the right leaders. So that is one thing, which is why we are focusing on leadership development in industry and academia. Second is, and something which he practiced himself, and many people have said this, like Manoj Kohli, who was there on day one. He's a great, admirer of Dr. Singh. By the way, I'm not talking of a personality cult. I don't think anybody appreciates anybody unless they are doing something for society. That is the true test. He was like a bridge between industry and academia. So he said, what's the use of your knowledge, you researchers? Because he would always pin it on me, saying, you're a researcher, you're a typical researcher. What's the use? Unless it is of relevance, unless it is making some difference in industry. So a bridge. So that's why in this forum, the PRISM Forum, we try to bring both industry and academia together. And third thing is pride in Indian knowledge. Therefore, develop Indian knowledge, document Indian knowledge, and see that it is used. So these are the 3 simple things that we try to do. And you have seen some of our activities. One of the activities, you have already seen the results in terms of the competitions to provide voice to, emerging leaders. Second thing, we have a nice mentoring initiative, mentoring for young leaders from companies and mentoring for business schools. These are the 2 main and new things that we are launching. And we have a website, You want us to launch the website? So I'm now requesting, launching of the website. Yeah, done? Great. So I now hand over to the MC. My part of the work is over.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Next, we would like to call upon our very own professor, Professor Shiva Kakkar, who is a faculty member of the Organizational Behavior and Human Resources Management area at IIM Nagpur, to give us a summary of conference proceedings.
A very warm welcome to all of you. When we set out to do the second edition of PRISM, we really wanted to make it a truly global event. We're happy to say that this year we got the participation from participants across the United States, the United Kingdom, Africa, Europe. We are very thankful to our academic partners, the University of Witwatersrand, Johannesburg, ESCP Business School, the University of Mauritius, and Stevens Business School, USA. The conference received 577 paper submissions and more than 593 participant registrations. In the last 2.5 days, we had 78 technical sessions in which 428 presentations were made. The conference hosted 2 stellar panel discussions and keynote speeches from some of the top academicians and business leaders. There were 3 keynote speeches. The purpose of PRISM is to give a platform to academicians and practitioners to exchange ideas. We tried our level best to meet the expectations of the participants and the foundation. I hope that you would present yourself at the next PRISM conference. With that, I wish you good luck and Godspeed. Thank you.
Now we would like to invite Professor Alok Kumar Singh for the passing of the baton of the PRISM conference to BeamTech Delhi NCR. Yeah. Represented by Dr. Rahul Singh. It's not there yet.
So please join next year at BeamTech.
Yeah, I'm not going to dance. This is an invitation to everyone. It's something that is very good campus in Delhi with the space called crunch. We won't have such luxury like we have at Nagpur, but we do have space for everyone. 5 locations.
Now we would like to introduce Shri Harish Bhatt. Mr. Harish Bhatt is the brand custodian at Tata Sons. He is also the director on the boards of several Tata companies, including Trent Limited, Tata Starbucks Private Limited, Infinity Retail, Tata Unistore Limited, Tata AIA Life Insurance Company Limited. During his 30-year career with the Tata Group, Mr. Bhatt has held several roles. These include stints as Managing Director of Tata Global Beverages, Chief Operating Officer of the Watches and Jewelry business of Titan Company, and the telecom business of the group. He has played a key role in several strategic moves of the group over the past 2 decades, including the launch and nurturing of many iconic brands of the Tata Group, the successful turnaround of the jewelry business, as well as the acquisition of Tetley. Mr. Bhatt is an alumnus of BITS Pilani and IIM Ahmedabad, graduating at the top of the class at both of these institutions. Without any further ado, we would like to call upon Shri Harish Bhatt for the valedictory address.
Distinguished academicians and members of industry on the dais, distinguished members of the audience, including faculty, students, members of industry who are here today, and all guests at this event. It is such a privilege to stand here and speak to you at an event such as this. For me, this event has been very special in more ways than one. First and foremost, it is an opportunity to offer tribute and celebrate the life of Dr. PRITAM Singh, of whom I have heard so much, though I have never had the opportunity to work with him or to study under him. But I have heard a lot about him. I just heard you, ma'am, just now speak about him so fondly. I was reading your book and looking at the preface that Mr. Kumaramangalam Birla has written for this book, where he calls him an outstanding leader rooted in Indian values. So in many ways, I think this is an opportunity to pay tribute and celebrate his life. This is also a very special event for me. When I received the invitation from the director of IIM Nagpur to come here and speak at this very fine institution and this beautiful campus. I had long been wanting to visit IIM Nagpur, and I think this has also made that dream come true. This is also a pilgrimage for me, the city of Nagpur, because you referred, ma'am, to Jamshedji Tata and Tata Sons and your view about our corporation. But for many of you who do not know, the very first industrial enterprise established by Jamshedji Tata, the founder of our group, was in this very city of Nagpur. It was called the Empress Mills. Today it's a mall. This was a textile mill when cotton textiles were at their peak in India. Way back in 1876, when he set up Empress Mills, you should know that this mill in Nagpur was the place where welfare concepts like a pension fund and a provident fund were introduced for the very first time in the entire nation of India. So, you know, there's a very, very historic relevance to Empress Mills. And just opposite Empress Mills, you will also find, which I visited this morning, the Jamshedji Tata Girls' School, which was set up by them way back more than 100 years ago to provide education to girls in the city of Nagpur. So for all these reasons, this is a very, very special privilege for me to be here and to deliver this valedictory address. I'd like to thank my good friend Mohit Gupta for bringing me here to IIM Nagpur as part of the City Book Club and City Book Leaders and the event that he conducts based on books and to fire a zeal for reading. Ladies and gentlemen, I was asked to speak today on the theme of businesses of the future and what leadership means for businesses of the future. Now, there are many things which will change with businesses of the future, for sure. You know, I do believe that to be a leader over the next decade, you will need to be a constant learner, because there is going to be more knowledge and more technology coming into our world over the next 10 years than has probably come over the past century. And therefore, you will need as a leader to be a very, very constant and quick learner. I do believe that leaders of tomorrow will need to have the boldness and imagination required to conjure up the visions for their enterprises. And that is going to be even more important as you reimagine what businesses of the future are going to look at. I think, like always, leaders will need very strong strategic business skills because the world is only growing in complexity. And strategy is all about making choices. And to make those choices in a very complex world, I think strategic business skills, strategic thinking skills will be very, very important for leaders. I think leading young people will be very important. We have heard the phrase Gen Z so many times, but I think Gen Z and what they require from the world of business and what they require from life is changing very rapidly. And leading them into the future is going to be an entirely different cup of tea. And finally, it is my strong belief that leaders of the future will require humility more than ever, because I believe that hierarchical organizations are soon going to be out of fashion. And you're going to have organizations in a world of AI, in a world of technology, organizations which are based only on knowledge. But today, I do not want to explore those aspects. Today, I want to talk about what does not change in leading the businesses of the future. There are some things which change, but there are some things, according to me, that remain timeless. And to look at what remains timeless, I must start by narrating to you a small story. So please bear with me. I don't know how many of you have heard the name of J.R.D. Tata. If you have, you can put up your hands so that I know how many of you have heard the name. It's very nice to see that most hands have gone up. Because J.R.D. Tata passed away many, many years back in 1993. But for 50 years, he was the leader of our organization, the Tata Group. And I don't think the Tata Group can have any special ownership over him. I think he is regarded as a leader across the nation and belongs to the nation of India. So he became the chairman of the Tata Group in 1938, and he served as the chairman of the group until 1991. He was a multifaceted leader, led our group for half a century. And many of the large Tata organizations that you see today, Tata Chemicals, Tata Motors, TCS, Titan, all of them emerged at the time when he was the chairman of the Tata Group. But that is not the story I wish to narrate. You know, in the year 1965, when J.R.D. Tata was the chairman of the group, he received a very simple letter from a school teacher. A school teacher called K.C. Bhansali wrote to him from Howrah in Calcutta. And he asked J.R.D. Tata a simple question. He said, Mr. Tata, what are the guiding principles of your leadership? What are the guiding principles of your life, which you think have made the Tata Group and you so successful? Now, you will imagine that a person like J.R.D. Tata sitting in the chairman's room in the corporate headquarters of the Tata Group, receiving such a letter. I don't know how many people would actually take the trouble to respond to such a letter. Because I'm sure there are hundreds of such letters, hundreds of such, in today's world, emails which reach you. J.R.D. Tata was actually more than 60 years of age when he received this letter. He was busy with a number of Tata organizations as their chairman. He was the chairman at that time of Tata Motors, of Air India, of, he had created the Tata Memorial Hospital, the Tata Institute of Fundamental Research. He was caught up in a busy schedule. But he sat down and he thought through, and he actually responded to this letter. And I found the original of this letter when I was doing some research at the Tata archives. So he responded to Mr. Bhansali, setting out some principles in a very brief letter, which is less than 200 words of length. And this is what he said. I'm going to read out that letter to you because it sets out some principles that I think leaders of the future need to bear in mind. He said, "Dear Mr. Bhansali, I thank you for your letter of the 6th August, inquiring what have been the guiding principles which have kindled my path and my career. I do not consider myself to be an illustrious personality, but only an ordinary businessman and citizen who has tried to make the best of his opportunities to advance the cause of India's industrial and economic development." And then he goes on to say, "Any such guiding principles I might unconsciously have had in my life And therefore, the principles that he followed in his leadership can be summarized as follows. And please listen carefully. He has just set out 5 principles here, but I think they're worth the paper, they're worth their weight in gold, they're worth the paper they're written on. The first thing that he says is that nothing worthwhile is ever achieved without deep thought and hard work. Look at the words he uses: hard work, but also deep thought. You know, in this world of cut and paste, hard work is different from deep thought. Deep thought requires a lot more than just hard work. It requires you to sit down and think about what you're going to say, what you're going to write. And he says this is very, very critical for leaders if they wish to pursue a path which they believe in and which they are convinced of. Then he goes on to say that one must think for oneself and never accept at their face value slogans and catchphrases to which unfortunately our people are too easily susceptible. And I do believe in our business schools, we are even more susceptible to management jargon. He says, look at common sense, look at what you believe in. Never accept slogans and catchphrases. Think to yourself what you should do and then decide what you should do as a leader. The third, he says, that one must forever strive for excellence or even perfection in any task, however small, and never be satisfied with the second best. And I'll come back to this point later, because this line has stood in my office for the past 30 years. There's a laminated board you'll find if you come to my office in the Tata Group, which says one must forever strive for excellence or even perfection in any task, however small, and never be satisfied with the second best. And that is why I think Tata products and services are largely trusted today, because people know that the quality of products we give is based on some excellence of manufacture, excellence of service. Not that we are perfect, but I believe that we do that very well, and which is why Tata brands, Tata products and services are used by half the population of this country today. Then he goes on to say, very important, no success or achievement in material terms is worthwhile unless it serves the needs or interests of the country and its people and is achieved by fair and honest means. Think of what he's saying. He's saying business is fine, but is your business doing something for the country? Is your business doing something for the community? And are you doing it by fair and honest means? And finally, he goes on to say that good human relations, he's now talking about the leader as a human being, that good human relations not only bring great personal rewards, but are essential to the success of any enterprise. And then he signs off this letter saying, yours sincerely, J.R.D. Tata. Now, this letter is less than 200 words. Okay. You can see the original of this letter if you come to the Tata archives in Pune. But at the end of the session, I will also request a colleague of mine, Anuj, who is here, to distribute to you a brief card which carries the synopsis of this letter so that you can take it away. But in less than 200 words, J.R.D. Tata had put forward the guiding principles by which he had fashioned his leadership. He was not an MBA like many of us. I have done my MBA, but he was not. But these simple principles are something that he found have helped him in guiding his leadership forward. When I first read this letter, it brought to my mind President Abraham Lincoln's famous Gettysburg Address, which was less than 275 words in length, which was in itself exemplary. But here is a letter which is even more exemplary. It's communicated in very simple English, no jargon, and very thoughtfully crafted because it puts forward 5 independent principles. But J.R.D. Tata was not preaching. And let me take 2 of these principles. I don't think I'll have time to expound on all 5 of them. But let me take 2 of these principles and narrate to you very, very small stories from J.R.D. Tata's life, which bring alive these principles. You know, he says that one must forever strive for excellence and never be satisfied with the second best. Always go for perfection in any task, however small and however big you do. This is enshrined today as a quality movement in the Tata Group. And we are very proud of the product quality of our products and services, whether it's Tata Salt or Titan watches or Tanishq jewelry or Voltas air conditioners. We are very proud that we are able to, through a thrust for excellence, bring out these products or services. We know we have a long way to go. India has to reach world-class excellence levels, for which leadership has to push for them. But let me give you a story of this. You know, sometime in the 1970s, J.R.D. Tata was flying Air India. Air India was he was the chairman of that airline at that time. The government had nationalized it, but he was the chairman of the airline. And he was flying on an intercontinental flight and long flight on a jumbo jet. And sitting next to J.R.D. Tata was a gentleman who had been the governor of the Reserve Bank of India and one of the senior most IAS officers of his time, a gentleman called L.K. Jha. Many of you might have heard the name of L.K. Jha. So both of them were traveling together, and after some time, L.K. Jha saw that J.R.D. Tata has vanished from his seat. So he said, "Where is Mr. Tata gone?" He said, "Maybe he's gone to the loo, maybe he'll come back in 10 minutes or 15 minutes. He waited for him. 15 minutes passed by, no sign of J.R.D. Tata whatsoever. Half an hour passed by, J.R.D. Tata is still not back on his seat. 45 minutes passed by, no sign of J.R.D. Tata. And then Mr. Tata comes back to his seat after 1 hour and 15 minutes. And L.K. Jha asks him, "Mr. Tata, where were you? I was getting a little concerned that you might have," he was already at an advanced age at that time. He said, "I was getting a little concerned that you might have fallen somewhere or something may have gone wrong." So Mr. Tata said, "No, whenever I travel Air India, I'm the chairman of this airline. I just walk around to see that everything is okay." So Mr. Jha tells him, "Listen, it couldn't have taken you an hour and a quarter to walk around an airline and come back. All of us walk down the aisles of aircraft. How much time does it take? 10 minutes or 15 minutes? And then what L.K. Jha is told by the crew amazes him. And L.K. Jha has narrated the story. Apparently what happened was that J.R.D. Tata went into a toilet of the aircraft. And in the toilet of the aircraft, he found that the toilet paper was not properly placed. And his emphasis was that Air India should be the best airline in the world. And when he saw that the toilet paper was not properly placed, he bent down, took it out, and put it back as he thought it should for those standards of global excellence. However, a toilet paper has to be placed with the, with the corners bent and all that. And after that, he went to each of the other 7 or 8 toilets on that huge jumbo aircraft and put the toilet papers in that excellent shape himself, one after the other, as the chairman of that airline. Now, to me, that's an extraordinary story. And that's why it took him an hour to come back to his seat by the time he did all this. And he did this maybe when he was 65, 70 years of age. So to me, this is an extraordinary story, because how often do you find the chairman of a company doing this in an organization that he has of himself? And I think the reason he did it was to send a very clear signal to everyone within the group and everyone within Air India and the rest of the Tata Group as well, that he expects those standards of excellence to be maintained. And that is what this principle means. When he has written in this letter, strive for excellence or even perfection in any task, however small, and never be satisfied with the second best. That is what this principle means. This is just one illustration. There are many, many such illustrations from J.R.D. Tata's life. But I think the drive for world-class excellence is going to mark out leadership for the future. We want India to be a developed nation. We want India to be at the top of the world. We want Indian products and services to be regarded world over as the kind of quality that Japanese or German products and services were regarded a few years ago. And for that, I think this commitment to excellence is something that leadership of the future should have. But I will just take one more principle. Otherwise, I may run out of time if I were to speak for too much more time. The other principle that J.R.D. Tata sets out in this letter is, no success or achievement in material terms is worthwhile unless it serves the needs or interests of the country and its people and is achieved by fair and honest means. And a couple of illustrations of how he made this happen. In the 1940s, late 1930s, 1940s, India did not have a single cancer hospital. In fact, Asia did not have a cancer hospital at that time. And cancer, like today, was a big health issue in those days as well. And J.R.D. Tata by then had become the chairman of the Tata Group in 1938. He was part of the Dorabji Tata Trust. This was the time of World War II. So funds were difficult to come by. But in the midst of it, he put his weight behind the funding of what became India's first cancer hospital, which is the Tata Memorial Hospital in Mumbai, which many of you may have heard of, and which renders extraordinary service till today. Now, I would submit he was not required to do that as chairman of the Tata Group. He was required to run Tata businesses very well. No one would have pointed a finger at him and said, you have not put a cancer hospital up. But by using his good offices in the Dorabji Tata Trust, he ensured that a comprehensive cancer hospital came up, which was Asia's and India's first hospital, despite the fact that it required a huge financial commitment. And the trust then ran it for several years before handing it over to the Department of Atomic Energy, which runs it today. Today, you have about 65 to 70,000 patients treated every year in that hospital, and 70% of those patients are treated free of charge. For a developing country like India, you know what that means. And after that, of course, the Tata Group has gone on to put on cancer hospitals in Rajarhat in Calcutta and in 13 other states in the country. But that's one example when he says that you have to do what you do to serve the needs or interests of the country. Another example I want to give you where he went out of his way to do this and demonstrate this axiom was after independence. After India won independence, as all of you know, there was a huge refugee crisis when refugees streamed into India from Pakistan, and equivalently there were refugees from India who went into Pakistan. Millions of people were displaced. Once again, JRD was the chairman of the Tata Group at that time, and the Tata Institute of Social Sciences was asked to do some analytical work to understand how the refugees should be, resettled. And in the midst of it, JRD Tata felt a lot of pain that refugees do not have adequate money to help them to resettle. So he wrote a letter to Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru at that time, as the chairman of the group, saying, to look at such extraordinary circumstances, we should actually have a welfare fund which can fund any such disasters or any such necessities. And if the government is willing to start such a fund, the Tata Group and I will be happy to contribute to the corpus of the fund. For 2 months, he didn't receive a response from Prime Minister Nehru. He kept following up with Prime Minister Nehru because he believed that this was an essential requirement that the country had at that time. And finally, of course, Prime Minister Nehru on 11th of December 1947 wrote back to JRD Tata saying there has been a delay in coming to some decision, but after consulting my colleagues, we have now arrived at a decision. And that was the time that the Prime Minister of India and the Government of India decided to set up what would then be called the Prime Minister's National Relief Fund, which thereafter has, I think, funded so many people, so many disasters, so many national calamities which have happened, which have been funded from the Prime Minister's National Relief Fund over the past 75 years of our independence. So these are two examples of what JRD Tata really means when he says that you should always put the national interest first. And whatever you do in business is worthwhile only if you can also do something for the nation. We have tried our best to do that in the Tata Group. And like I said, no one is perfect, but we believe that we have tried our best to stay true to his ideals. So if you ask me, ladies and gentlemen, leadership of the future, what remains unchanged? I would say, take a moment and look at those principles that JRD Tata has set out in his letter. I think those cards have been given out to each of you. But if you take a moment and just look at that card and look at the 5 principles which have been put down, I would submit to you that these 5 principles will stand any leader of the future in very, very good stead. They are timeless principles. Technology may change. Geopolitics may change. The economy may change. After Gen Z, you may have the next generation also coming up. I don't know what we are going to name it. Gen Alpha. Gen Alpha may also come up. And then Gen Beta perhaps after that. But these principles are timeless and they will stand leaders of the future in very good stead. But at the heart of JRD's leadership was something, madam, that I have found in this book that you have written about Dr. PRITAM Singh. You have actually written on page 112 of this book. It says one of his central facets and at the core of his understanding of leadership, you have called it above all be human. And you have said that the core of the leader is the human being, and it's important to understand the central facet you have pointed out in this book. And JRD said the same. He said, to be a leader, most importantly, you've got to lead human beings with affection. Look at the words he uses. Of course, you need a strategic mind. Of course, you need vision. Of course, you need business acumen. But he says to be a good leader. But all of that can make you a good manager. What makes you a good leader is when you can carry people working with you, when you can lead human beings with affection. And that is why he was able to build such a wonderful talent pool and such a wonderful leadership pool for the Tata Group, including some of the great leaders of our time, Sumant Mulgaonkar, Rusi Modi, Darbari Seth, Ajit Kerkar. They all grew up, and Mr. Ratan Tata himself, they all grew up and worked under JRD Tata. He was able to develop such leaders because he led them with affection. So that is what I'd like to submit to you in this valedictory address. When you look at leadership and businesses of the future, some things will change. Technology will change, economics will change, geopolitics will change, Gen Z will change, but some things will be timeless. And I think those timeless principles are captured in this letter that he wrote to a school teacher way back in 1965, but equally relevant today. With those few words, I want to thank all of you for inviting me here to the second PRITAM Singh Memorial, or the PRISM conference as it's called. I want to thank the director of IIM Nagpur and the Institute for inviting me here and hosting me here. And I hope these few words you will carry back with you in your hearts and minds. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for such an inspiring and timeless valedictory address. Now we will have the distribution of the mementos, and for that, we would like to invite Dr. Asha Bhandarkar to give a token of appreciation on behalf of IIM Nagpur to Shri Harish Bhatt. Next, we invite Professor Alok Kumar Singh to give a token of appreciation on behalf of IIM Nagpur to Dr. Asha Bhandarkar. Now we call upon Professor Shiva Kakar to give a token of appreciation to Mr. K.S. Bakshi. And finally, we call upon Professor Papi Reddy to give a token of appreciation to Mr. R. Anand. Now we would like to invite Professor Alok Kumar Singh on stage for the vote of thanks.
Thank you so much. It's a big responsibility. A very good afternoon to everyone. I feel honored and privileged to have this opportunity to propose the vote of thanks for this special occasion. I believe thank you is a small word, and for the contribution which people have made to make this conference a successful conference. But I'm really grateful to everyone who has directly or indirectly helped us in making this conference a success. I'd first like to thank the Almighty for creating this opportunity, because of which we all are here. At the same time, I'd also like to remember Dr. PRITAM Singh sir, who inspired almost thousands of us for such kind of events. I'd like to thank Sri Harish Bhatt sir for gracing this occasion and taking out his valuable time. I'd like to thank our chairman, Sri C.P. Gurnani sir, and Sri Ranjan Kumar Mahapatra, Director HR, IOCL, for the inaugural addresses. I'd like to thank our director sir, Dr. B.A. Maitri, for his constant support throughout the conference. Because of some unavoidable circumstances, he is not able to attend the event. but he has motivated all of us for guiding throughout this conference. I'd further like to thank PRISM Foundation, Dwarkanath sir, Dr. Asa Bhandarkar, Sri K.S. Bakshi sir, Sri R. Anand sir, Dr. C. Jayakumar sir, Dr. Subrat, Dr. Prashant Gupta, Dr. Subir Verma, and all other members for conceptualizing the PRISM conference and creating a platform for the academician and the practitioners to share their views and thoughts. I'd also like to thank Dr. Harbansh Chaturvedi and S.Y. Siddiqui sir for conducting power-packed roundtables, which we had on day 2. I'd also thank all the speakers who were the part of this roundtable. I'd like to thank my co-chairs, Professor Shiva and Professor Papi Reddy, who have meticulously planned for the conference in spite of their busy schedule. I'd like to thank all our faculties for extending help, not only in terms of reviewing the paper, but also in terms of doing the chairing the sessions. I'd like to thank Colonel Alur, CEO IIM Nagpur, his team, Director Office, Sweta Rama Parikshit, our sales and purchase team, Artiji, Rahul, Ashish, Sachin, our academic team, Somaji, Divya and all others, IT team, Bhartiji, Ravindra and all, our media team, Anagaji, Neeraj, Korena, our state team, Colonel Atendra Jagdish, and all, in fact, the accounts team, led by Pushkar, Resmaji, and all, Dr. Shivaji and Mr. Vijay for their constant support. I'm really sorry if I have missed any of the names. I feel proud and thank you all for making this event a success. An event of this dimension cannot happen overnight. The wheels started rolling in advance. We have been fortunate enough to be backed by a team of very motivated and dedicated students, committee, and volunteers. I cannot thank everyone enough for the involvement they have shown and the willingness they have expressed to take out completion of the task beyond the comfort zone. May I request everyone to give them a good round of applause, please. Thank you. I'd also like to thank Sri Rajinder ji, who was the general manager of the EP and all the hostels which we have, and his team for wonderful accommodation and catering. Without you guys, this event has not been possible. I'd also like to thank all the housekeeping staff who kept the venues clean and hygienic. If time is money, then today we have spent, in fact, for the last 3 days, we have spent millions of them. I'd like to thank all the participants who actually are the backbone of this conference, without whom the conference would not be a success. Thank you so much for joining us for this conference. Thank you. I hope you guys will get more events to come back to IIM Nagpur. I hope your stay and everything was good. Do join us for the third PRISM conference to be